Without a doubt, this is one of my favorite units, men and women in literature, okay? And without going into a lot of theory at this point, I do want you to be acquainted with feminist theory to some degree. I don't want you to be turned off by the word feminism. Please don't believe everything you hear from Rush Limbaugh and other people like that about feminism, okay? Bottom line about feminism is without feminism, there'd be no legal birth control, okay? You could not go to CVS and get birth control without feminism. And of course, women couldn't vote, that kind of thing. So what we do is we can look at a lot of literature in terms of the way the authors treated men and women, or the way they were writing about society at the time, in the way that society treated men and women. All right. So this particular unit sort of talks about that. And as I've said all along, literature explains our lives. All right. Literature explains the society which we live in, and the point of that is to empower us as people to be in control of our own lives, to not let other people, big corporations, small corporations, your job, your spouse, anybody be in control of you. You need to be in control of yourself. It's your life, and you're a more fully actuated person, a more responsible person, and a more satisfied person if you are in control. Okay, that doesn't mean you don't listen to other people, pay attention to other people, negotiate, bargain, compromise, that kind of thing over control issues. You do. But that's what literature helps you with. It helps you kind of see what's been going on historically as well as presently in this kind of constant struggle between men and women in power. All right, that's what it's always about. It's about power and economics. And without going into tons of other detail, but you get this whole issue about women in the military, these kinds of things. And the bottom line is economic privilege, economic power. And at one time, society was structured so that women were pretty much pushed out of any power positions. They were not given any economic rights, and that's why the Constitution gave more rights to slaves than it did to women. Okay, absolutely amazing. It gave no voting rights to women, but slaves counted as census figures for voting. All right, I mean, they didn't vote themselves, but they counted in the way the states got to hold, the number of congressmen, congresspeople, that kind of head. So it's very, very interesting if you look at the whole history of sort of the struggle between men and women, and you can look at it in literature. Okay, so David Osborne, Beyond the Cult of Fatherhood. I'm not terribly familiar myself with him, but I read over the essay and really enjoyed it. Want you to enjoy it. Charlotte Perkins Gilman, I've actually taught before in face-to-face literature classes, and basically at one time, women who were not happy were diagnosed as being sick. Okay, if you weren't happy in your marriage, you had to be sick. Or if you didn't want to get married, say you wanted to be something crazy like an artist or a singer, well, you must be sick. Society would diagnose you as sick, and very often send you to the sanatorium. So kind of watch for that theme in the yellow wallpaper. I think you'll enjoy that. Ernest Hemingway, my favorite author and also the world's biggest male chauvinist pig. Okay, seriously. Hemingway worshipped all things men. All right, everything heroic. All right, from hunting and fishing to war. Okay, it was Hemingway's shtick all the time. Lots of fun for him. At the same time, he did write about women, and he loved women. He was married multiple times and multiple affairs, that kind of thing. He practically worshipped women, and women do play some important parts in some of his stories, all right? But basically, the stories are all about him being heroic and that kind of thing. So take a look at that in that kind of a context. Jhumpa Lahiri is new on the scene. She's from the East, Central Asia. I think she's from India. If not, please correct me. Okay, look carefully. She could be from one of the outlying states of India. Very, very interesting person. And of course, different cultures treat women differently. All right, and let's not even go to the Taliban, that kind of thing. So she talks a lot about how she gets treated in her culture and about breaking away from that, how difficult that is. All right, Marge Piercy, this whole Barbie doll thing. Okay, I can remember the advertisements in Life magazine in the '50s. The happy woman was there in front of her washing machine. You still see that today in advertising. Okay, and of course the women were always perfect, always white skin, always blonde hair, always voluptuous figures, that kind of thing. So it's just kind of interesting to read about that. Janice Mericatani, I'm not terribly familiar with that one, but I picked that out for a reason. I think you'll enjoy her. Robert Frost. Now, you don't tend to think of him in terms of male and female issues because, in high school all you read is, the road not traveled and things about ponies and snow and the woods and all that kind of stuff. That's not the real Frost. Frost was actually very angry, all right? And he was actually a kind of a rabid right-wing Republican. I don't mean that disparagingly towards Republicans, but he was kind of rabid. He hated the New Deal, that kind of stuff. He was really much more of a complex character than you tend to think about in high school literature. And he wrote this lovely poem. I love it. I've seen it acted out several times. I've seen a short movie about it. called Home Burial. All right, it has a horrible theme. Child dies. All right, by horrible, that's what I mean. You know, it's very sad. But what really is going on is a struggle in communication between a man and a woman and over their grief of this child dying. And you can see the struggle communicating. So how many times in your own life do you feel that you're struggling communicating with someone of the other gender? All right, how does that feel? All right, where are you two ships going past in the night? You know, this is written about a lot. Ellen Goodman writes about this. My mind just went blank, but it's this idea about not communicating. You know, men are from Mars and women are from Venus, that kind of a thing, all right? And Frost, bless his heart, back in the 1930s, you know, where feminism was important, all right, but he probably wasn't involved in the movement in any degree, he's writing about this issue, all right, about how men and women fail to communicate sometimes. And then Catherine Kern, she writes about this. She writes about Frost. She has an essay, so I kind of give you a literary analysis to read also. So if you notice, this isn't a straight literature class. It's not just reading stories or poems. I'm getting you to read analysis. I'm getting you to read essays. You're reading nonfiction. You're reading fiction. You're reading poetry, that kind of thing. So I'm really kind of throwing a lot at you, but I'm keeping it confined within themes, okay? So, you know, the previous unit was the family, all right? This is about men and women. You know, there's no struggle about who's better. That's not the point. The point is who gets the power, you know? And men and women should share the power, but that's not always the way it is. And what's wrong with not sharing is that women are always on the bottom of the totem pole. Okay, bottom economically, bottom when it comes to jobs, bottom when it comes to pay. You get some situations in which women get abused because they don't have enough power. So that's why we go into this, and that's once again why literature frees us and helps us actuate ourselves as fully involved, fully evolved human beings. All right. So please enjoy this unit. You don't have to think of it in radical terms about feminists or not feminists or feminazis, right? But rather just think about it. Look for the issues. Okay, men are doing this, women are doing this. Where's the clash? Okay, and how do we avoid this clash? If it's possible to avoid it, and still keep your integrity. That's the point. Well, hey, enjoy. I'm rambling on. I think you're gonna find this one of your most really, I think, fulfilling units.